Good afternoon, everyone. I pray that your Tuesday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness, that you found some time to smile. And if you read my goodnight post, I was smiling yesterday because I got to spend face to face time with six of my grandchildren, and that made my heart sing. Today, I posted something that said, people will notice the changes in your attitude towards them, but won't notice their behavior that made you change. I'm going to read that again. People will notice the change in your attitude towards them, but won't notice their behavior that made you change. And when I saw this on someone else's feed a couple of days ago, it so resonated with me. In my history, and I've had a full and colorful history like most of us, but in my history, I was involved in a relationship where, as time went on, I found myself becoming less and less happy. And as I found myself becoming less and less happy, I initially started talking about it, but when that didn't seem to work, I began to change my behavior. And it took the person a while to recognize that the behavior was even changed because this person basically would ignore me most of the time until they wanted something from me. And that's what was making me sad. But, anyways, they began to notice my changed behavior. The interesting thing was they never once asked me, why has your behavior changed? And they never once took ownership or even did a deep dive and said to themselves, I wonder where that may be coming from. I wonder how my interactions may have impacted it. The reality is that some people lack insight. Some people um, are emotionally not very mature. Some people operate from a perspective that the world sort of revolves around them, their wants, and their needs, and they don't do well being in community. Now, they may do well being in community on a superficial level. People on the outside think that they're a great person and they enjoy being with them. But when we talk about a one on one relationship or when it's with family or loved ones, their relational skills begin to be lacking. And for whatever reason, they have not a clue of how their behavior impacts those around them. Instead, what they actually want to think about is, I wonder why they acting like that. I wonder what's going on with them. That person's so mean. That person's so this. That person's so that. But what they have not taken into account, what if I contributed or not contributed to this relationship? Am I bringing my full authentic self to the table? Or am I being pensive? Am I being isolating myself? Am I only showing up when I feel like it? Am I doing Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde behavior? One day I want to be social, and in the next days or weeks, I have barely two words to say to the person. And then I wonder why that person's behavior has changed. I suspect that most of us have experienced that on some level, at least with someone, and sometimes with many someones. And so, what I want to kind of speak to very quickly is, what do you do about it? Do you just continue to experience that? Or what do you do about it? And I think the first thing to do is to let that person know, my behavior has changed towards you because, and then explain to them exactly how they impact you, how you experience them. I have learned to be able to say to people, let me tell you how I am experiencing you. And I'm opening up a space for you to tell me how you are experiencing me. And therefore, if you see that my behavior towards you has changed, that my interactions towards you has changed, you don't have to guess about it. You don't have to wonder about it because I am going to initiate the conversation and say, allow me to share with you how I am experiencing you. Now, for some people, you may say that's hard to do. They may not even want to hear it. Well, you know what? You're not responsible for how they receive it, but you are responsible for taking responsibility for your end of the conversation. If someone's making you feel some kind of way, you have two choices. Well, three really. You can do absolutely, you can just act some kind of way, change your behavior. That's one choice. But that may not stop that person from doing whatever they were doing that made you feel some kind of way. You can cut off all relationships with that person. You can decide, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with them. That's also an option, but it does not help in building healthy relationships. It does not help you to exercise your relationship muscle. You can also say to the person, let me share with you how I'm experiencing you. And then you can tell me if I'm right, if I'm wrong, or you can enlighten me, about, from your perspective, what this has meant. And you may not use that language because, yes, I am a therapist with almost 30 years of experience. So I use particular language, but you can use language within yourself. One thing that does not help is when they make you feel some kind of way and then your behavior begins to change, but there is no conversation. There is no discussion. So what you now have is two people feeling some kind of way or operating in a dysfunctional manner, which does not promote healthy relationships. And one of the things that we always want to focus on is healthy relationships. We want to be able to operate from a place of balance. Okay, we want to, if we are feeling uncomfortable, if we're feeling some kind of way, we want to give ourselves permission to at least let the person know, let's have a conversation. And I know you may say, well, that person's not going to listen. Well, if you've tried to have conversation and they really don't want to engage, then that can then inform what your next decision may be. Maybe that is really the time to end the relationship. And that's exactly what I did in the example I gave in the beginning. If you're concerned about telling someone how you experience them, it's simply because you're afraid, because you don't have a great history of using your own voice. Maybe when you tried to use your own voice, you were shut down. This is a great opportunity for you to practice. And I encourage you to practice even if you stumble through the conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just practice. Take baby steps. Because the goal, again, is to live a life of balance, to live a life of peace, to live a life of joy, to live a life of contentment. And when challenges come, which they will come, to be able to have the tools to help you to work through it. Love you much, and I will be coming back to speak with you soon and very soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.